Hey everybody, welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show, and I'll be your host, Josh. And tonight we're going to be talking about portals. That's right, portals and whatever else we decide to talk about. So I appreciate you joining me. I hope you are having a good evening. And again, if you are here, I appreciate you in every way watching the live stream. If not, if you're watching this after the live stream, I still appreciate you in every way. So again, welcome to the show. All right, so let's get started. Tonight we're going to be talking about portals as we talk about. So let's talk a little bit about what are portals. Portals are going to be a passage between spirit realms, basically. Now, of course, you can have portals between heaven and earth. You can have portals from here to hell. You could have portals in between the spirit realms, but they are passageways. So how do we know that portals exist? Well, we can look at some different things. There is mention of them in the Bible, and there's also in the book of Enoch as well. In fact, one of the descriptions before the throne of God is a room with tessellated crystals, portals on the walls that are surrounded in fire, which, if you could imagine, the descriptions, it would be really amazing to see that, especially as you're going into God's throne. The entrance to God's throne room is a large portal as well, surrounded by fire. So amazing stuff. So it's clear that portals are used for heavenly bodies or spirit bodies to travel from one place to another. And again, we probably have portals that go into other areas. Like I said, portals that can connect one thing to another, spirit realm to spirit realm, and so forth and so on. So, are portals good or are they bad? Well, I guess it depends on what they're used for. Most likely, they're going to be used for by God Himself, the heavenly angels. They're going to use portals for their travel, so I'm sure that those portals are good. Whether they stay open once the portals are used, again, I don't know. It's something I don't think I've ever really come across in my experience. Most of the time when I've come across or paranormal type portals, they're usually things that are generated from traumatic events, or possibly people themselves have generated them, and usually they're allowing spirits to come through from spirit realms, or evil spirits coming through from spirit realms. So, but as far as say like heavenly portals, again, they may just come and go depending when angels need them. So that's pretty interesting. What I wanted to cover a little bit about with portals is the fact that people, amateurs, I guess, don't know what they're doing, and they like to try to summon things, create portals. Again, we get a lot of people that create those things, possibly even through things like Ouija boards. There is certain methods that people can do out there. So, how does one create a portal, or how can one inadvertently create a portal? Again, it's by not knowing what they're doing. But let's even look at something like with spells, incantations, things like that. Right now, we know that spells exist, or at least we know that they exist. So how do we know they exist? Well, we can go back into old scriptures, and we can see where the fallen angels, if you guys remember some of my other videos. If not, go check it out. Go watch some of my other videos. But the fallen angels, the watchers, when they came down to earth and they mated with women, human women, they taught them spells and incantations, cutting of roots and things like that. They taught them a lot of forbidden knowledge. This is the beginnings of a lot of what we know as of today, witchcraft, right? So I just want you guys to think about this. If it was good enough if spells worked back then, like if it was good enough, if it was good enough back then, it's good enough now. No, if it worked back then, if spells is from a forbidden knowledge, okay, then certainly there was a lot of magic and sorcery back then being used, and again, this was just a period in time when that's why God had the flood. But anyways, so think about it. Nowadays, a lot of those spells and incantations, things like that, magic and sorcery, some of that made it through, okay, and is being practiced to this day. Again, it's not, well, I don't want to say whether it's right or wrong. I'm not here to talk about that. But so I guess what I am saying is that there is some of it wrong with the fact that some of these may be used to open portals. Now, what's wrong with this? Well, if you open a portal, okay, if you open a portal, you don't know where it's going. You don't know what's on the other side, okay? So it's important that you don't mess with portals. Okay. Now, if you're an investigator and you are investigating and you believe that you've come across some type of portal, things like that, where spirits seem to be passing through, there seems to be that kind of. I mean, it's one thing to kind of investigate that, but again, do not create portals. Okay. The reason why I even brought this up tonight and why I'm doing a show is because I have seen in a variety of forums that I'm a part of, people talk about portals, and some people are like, how do I make one and create one and things like that. It's like, oh, it's like, come on, people, for real. So don't create portals. Again, you don't know where they're going. That's the thing. Now, let me just also put this out for you guys to understand something. Let me try to put it in perspective. So let's just say that you are out and about outside in your backyard, okay? And all of a sudden you stumble across some ancient chest, and you're like, whoa, and this unearthed, just some chest that was poking out of the ground, the weather washed away some dirt, whatever. You find this ancient chest and you open it up and you find this old manuscript in there, like this old transcript, the old rolled up leather manuscript or something. I don't know. Let's just say you came across some ancient, script, and you took it to an expert, and he said, oh, this is written on, back in Hebrew. This is ancient. This is these old times. And let's say he read it for you or translated it, and it was a spell. Let's just say it was a spell left over from back in the days, and it was written down. And let's say it was a spell to conjure a portal. And in this spell, or in this script, it talked about that it was a portal to some luscious land with fruit and plentiful fruit and all this. Now, the thing that the point of this story is that there's probably a good chance that if you were to use this spell and you opened up this portal, chances are, you're not just going to see some magic portal like you see on the screen here. You just see some visual portal open up and you're like, hey, I'm going to go to this land of the fruit and all that. No, it's not like that. These portals are used in the spirit world, okay, with spirit bodies. They're not meant to use on your earthly bodies, okay? So you're going to open some unseen portal, and chances are it's probably going to be to some evil, okay? And if you don't believe me, how many times have you guys seen in the movies, right, when the bad guys trick people into opening portals and unsealing things and doing all these bad things for them, right? And they always make it seem like it's going to be awesome, right? And then meanwhile, they just open the portals to hell, okay? So it happens in the movies all the time. And again, it's a reflection of real life. There's a good chance that the evil spirits are going to try and trick people into opening these portals for them. Again, because they are in that spirit realm and they're there for a reason. Okay? So you don't need to open those portals to summon anything here, and makes it easy for them to exist in our plane easier than in their realm. Okay? So hopefully you guys understood that portion of it. It's very important. Do not open portals. Okay? I can't tell you so much or how many times it drives me crazy. It just amateurs opening portals. Every time you open these portals, chances are you're probably not even closing it. You probably don't even know how to close it. You probably don't even know what you're doing. Okay? So please, for the love of God. Now, this also ties in. Okay, we're gonna kind of go from portals to investigations. Okay, because this ties in directly to people doing investigations as an amateur. Now, like I said, sometimes you go do investigations, and sometimes you just have to start somewhere. We're all amateurs, right? You have to start somewhere. But knowing what I know now, like I said, I don't want to get too much into this particular story about my wife and I and one of our first apartments. But we, probably made it worse on ourselves. And anyways, but what I tell people is, listen, if you want to get into paranormal investigating, and you don't have a lot of knowledge and you're not sure, the first thing is, when you do investigating, when you get into it, you should first get yourself some protection, because there's like main protection, and then there's like secondary protection. Your main protection should be your faith. Okay, now again, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. Okay, but your main protection should be your faith. Okay, and what it is, make sure it's strong. Make sure it can protect you. My faith is through Jesus Christ, because ultimately demons fear him. Okay, you can see that in the Bible. Demons fear him. If you guys remember when Jesus came upon the man who was filled with legion, and the demons were like, "Oh, we are legion," and they were scared, and they were scared of Jesus, and they went into they said, "Look, at least let us go into these pigs," and then the pigs, they went and drowned, right? So my main protection for me is Jesus Christ. Now, secondary is crystals. Okay, and I say secondary because your main protection, which is really your ultimate protection, should be Jesus Christ. But my secondary is crystals, because they do have certain powers, I believe, to help ward off things. So you should look into some different crystals. Now, I'm not going to go into a crystal class today. I believe there's even a crystal like a shungite, if I'm saying that correctly. And something like that gives you really good protection during investigations without actually blocking investigations. Because keep that in mind as well. Sometimes if you have too much protection, and you're not going to have any paranormal experiences if you're a paranormal investigator. You just want something that's going to be able to just block you personally. You don't want to fill up the whole room with protection, or you'll never get any kind of EVPs or anything, right? If you're trying to investigate. So just keep that in mind too. But the first step is protect yourself. Protect your spirit body, your soul. Okay? So strong faith and crystals, right? But do all your research first. Then what I recommend is don't just go running out there and doing something stupid. God, don't just run out and like, okay, let's start a team, and you just grab. Now there's people on YouTube that are running around doing investigations and not knowing what they're doing, and they're causing chaos sometimes. Try not to do that, please. It's, trust me, if you can do investigations, and they will be scary, there will be things that you will face. You don't have to worry about screwing things up to make that happen. Okay, trust me. If you want it, you'll find it. All right. So what I always recommend is, like, seriously, find a local investigation team. If you can, try to find somebody nearby, somebody that, tell them that you're interested in learning, you want to go out on investigations, and a lot of times they'll let you come along, they'll take you under their wing, they can teach you things. So that's my biggest advice for people that are getting into paranormal investigations. Don't just run and do something stupid. I mean, seriously, go find somebody experienced and let them guide you along the way. And they can also usually, a lot of times, if you find the right crew, they'll mentor you. They'll kind of teach you some of the do's and don'ts. I try to pass that along, just like tonight's episode. Tonight's episode is a lot of do's and don'ts of, with messing with portals or opening gateways and doorways. But again, a little bit of advice is, look, go and find somebody. So, and then also too, stay away from Ouija boards. What makes a Ouija board different than, say, like a spirit box or an EVP is you're asking the ghost. Yes, you are opening a communication line between a spirit and a device. Okay, you are opening that communication line, but it is between the spirit and the device. Typically, with a Ouija board, you and somebody else is there. You're holding the planchette. You're really almost inviting the spirit to use you and your friend, your counterpart, to move the planchette. You're almost inviting the spirit to use your body. Okay, does that make sense? I know it may seem like I'm splitting hairs, but it's very true. That's why we usually recommend, hey, do not use the Ouija boards compared to using other devices. Now, there's other forms of Ouija boards that, I guess you'd call them Ouija boards, but communication devices like the pendulums, right? The crystal pendulums. You can hang it above like a yes, no, maybe kind of boards. They have different ones that you can set up. Or sometimes you can communicate using the pendulum, depending on which way it swings. Like you don't even have to have a paper underneath of it. You can establish which way it swings. If you do like a counterclockwise means something, or usually you can work that out with the spirit. And you'll kind of get a feel for that. There's instructions. I'm not going to teach you guys. That's pretty much it. You guys get the gist of it. You can always Google it or whatever if you want to learn how to do that. But the point is there's forms of communication that you can do that are a little more safe than Ouija boards. Okay. All right. But by all means, anybody out there in the chat tonight, as we get to the back half of the show, if you guys have any questions, stories, comments, I'm more than happy. We'll cover some of those things for you as well if you have questions about things. Now, as we talk about portals, now I always like to pose questions in my social media, like the Facebook group. I've been starting to post like theory type questions, and then I'll share those with the other forums and groups that I'm in. I always like to invoke thought. So with portals, again, we know they exist. We know they exist on a biblical portion. There's actual scripture to back those things up. So I think that's amazing. Okay, I think that's amazing that we can back up those type of things. So we know that portals are out there. Okay, so I want you guys to think about that. We don't need now as far as the bad portals. Okay, man-made ones are bad. If you're in an investigation and there is a high intent, so how do you recognize a portal? That's probably like what I'm getting at. How do you recognize when you have a portal at an investigation? Well, most of the time, what you're going to find is you're going to have a variety of spirits. And when I say spirits, most of the time I'm talking about evil spirits. You're going to have a variety of evil spirits. So when you go to an investigation, how do you know what how can you classify whether you have an evil spirit or a human spirit? Well, chances are, just ask yourself one of these questions. Is the haunting do the hauntings cause sorrow? Do they torment? Do they physically attack? Do they do any of those type of things? Okay, if they're causing sorrow, attacking, tormenting, then chances are, yes, it's going to be an evil spirit. Does that mean that you got to worry about demonic possession? No, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to worry about demonic possession, but it depends on the evil spirit that's haunting. See, evil spirits are supposed to cause torment, cause sorrow, and most of them are going to be animalistic because they don't have human mothers. It's the ones with the human mothers you got to probably worry about. Those are usually the ones that we really consider like demons, and those are usually the ones that will try to not only cause you to psychologically break down, but they're also going to try and invade your spirit body to try to cover your soul completely up and, just, again, take over. So that's kind of how you can tell what you're dealing with. And the chances are, if you're dealing with a lot of these hauntings, when people are talking about, getting poked and pinched and tormented, again, chances are it's going to be a type of evil spirit. Now, when you go to a place and you're just seeing things, or like you're just seeing people pass by or certain things, when there doesn't seem to be any negative, it's possibly just a ghost of a human spirit, maybe trying to make contact. They may be just trying to let themselves know that they're there. They may not know how to contact. Okay, it doesn't mean you go run and open up a portal. Okay, so don't do that. Don't just go run and open a portal. Like, hey, let's open up a portal. Let me pull out some Latin here and let's do some chanting. No, don't do that. Okay, don't. But yeah, so okay, so how can you tell? Getting back to that. Well, again, if you notice a variety of attack activity, sometimes you'll be in a home and you may have, it'll seem like just multiple spirits. And you're like, what the heck? It doesn't necessarily mean that there's that many spirits in the home, but you could have a portal where they're coming and going. Okay. So that could be a strong indication as well, when you have a portal. Also, you may get particular high EMF readings that seem to not just fade away, that really seem to be concentrated in the area for long periods of time, and high amounts of activity. Again, these are possible indications of a portal. All right. So this is some of the things I wanted to really cover with you guys tonight. I hope that a lot of this has been educational for you guys on what not to do. I try to tell people out there, please do not do stupid things. But you're going to have people out there that's going to go run out and they're just going to go and do things. They're going to do seances. They're going to, they're just going to run and do these things without doing their research. Like I said, my wife and I, we've been involved in the paranormal off and on well over 25 years. We had our own team for a while there. And again, even then, we didn't always know exactly what we were doing, despite learning stuff in the past. When you get out in the field, yes, you definitely learn, but you don't want to learn the hard way, okay? Because when you and here's something I want what you all to think about as well is you may not always be affected. That's the thing. You might open up a spirit portal to somewhere bad, and then you leave, and you may not even see the effects of it. And then whoever these people are or whatnot that maybe move in, or the next people that are there, or if you're at a location that's not even livable, like just some old insane asylum or something, who knows, then you could make things worse. And that's what happens, unfortunately. Some of these places that gets investigated a lot, is some of these places, they get investigated so much that these portals are being created and things are just getting worse there. And that's not always a good thing, again, because somebody eventually can get hurt. People have been attacked. They've been shoved, bit, scratched, all kinds of stuff. Almost like a burn type stuff. So opening portals, bad idea. All right. Is there any other topics that you guys want me to cover tonight? Again, this was like our major topic. My wife actually suggested this topic tonight because she has been seeing also an increase of people talking about portals, talking about gateways, things like that. Let's see. I don't think I have. I'm going to look and see real quick. I don't think I have the thing here. Where would it be? I'm trying to look, because sometimes I try to keep certain slides. I don't think I have this. All right, this was my... Yeah, I don't have that. This is some of the quote when we talked about the fallen angels. But again, I guess you could look right here. You see where it says that they taught them charms and enchantments and cutting their roots. So again, we could go back and just talk a little bit briefly again that, look, this is what I'm talking about. The fallen angels taught this forbidden knowledge. This forbidden knowledge came from the heavens. So that means that there's spells and enchantments that are used in the heavens. And they taught that down here at earth. But it was forbidden. That's why God's upset. So when you use spells and enchantments, that makes God upset. Just letting you know. I mean, I'm not making this up. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So do not use charms and enchantments to do that. But I was just trying to look and see. I didn't know if I had... oh no, Kylo Ren! I just didn't know if I had my slide where... Hey, there's a different kind. Like, that's a portal there. Here, there you go. Real small portal there. Here, let's blow this up. Hey, it's almost like we're going into the portal. Like, ready? Going in the portal. Okay. All right. I know, it was a little cheesy. That's okay. All right. I don't know. This could be what a portal looks like. Who knows? I just thought I'd find some pictures and show you guys or try to have that as a background tonight. All right. Salt circles. Yes, salt circles. Remember, salt circles. Your candles are safe. Remember to, if you want to be safe inside your salt circle, put the circle around you. Okay, don't put it in front of you. So if you put your candles in the middle and you put the salt around the candles, you're just keeping your candles safe. Anyways, I saw that we saw that on something, so that's funny stuff. So yes, if you want to protect yourself, be in the circle. But I mean, look, guys, I'm seriously, be careful. Okay, there's so many of you out there that, and one thing I've noticed is, and I was gonna talk a little bit. I was gonna actually do the show on this, so I'm just gonna touch on this briefly, and we may dive into it fully in another show. But um, ghost rules. Okay, the reason why I bring this up is because whenever I do tend to whenever I tend to post a question, like I'll say, why does some spirits have red eyes, or you know, do ghosts and spirits have boundaries? Are they restricted? I'll just ask questions, theory questions, and it's funny the amount of responses, the varying responses, right? But what I really find fascinating is that some people will say, "Oh, they can't cross water," or "Oh, they're restricted," or "Hey, no restrictions. They can go anywhere in the world." It's just funny how sometimes people they won't just say like, "Well, I believe they can't do this," or "In theory, I don't think they can do this." No, they're just like, "Nope, can't do it." So it's funny when you hear people's take on the different rules. Um, Personally, I think obviously if you're a spirit or a ghost, I think yes, you're gonna have rules. As to what, that's again the big mystery. What are the rules of the spirit realm? We don't know, and only obviously the spirits and God or whoever knows the rules. Sometimes it does seem as if ghosts have boundaries. There has been stories of ghosts sort of restricted to homes, but I just wonder if they have maybe attachments or they just want to be in that home. But there's also stories about I've heard stories about when people's relatives pass away, and sometimes they can be on the other side of the United States, and all of a sudden they come visit them, clear across the United States, and they have a visit from their parents right before they found out that they were dead. Um, so I've heard of great distances being covered. Um, so again, what are the travel restrictions of ghosts? Do they have any? Or does it depend on, if they're just human ghosts that have passed away? Maybe they don't have certain restrictions in that spirit realm. If you're an evil spirit and you're in another particular spirit realm because you're being held there, um, or you're being punished there, maybe there's certain boundaries on where you can go or what you can do. But there has to be some limitations, because if ghosts didn't have limitations, we'd see them all the time. We'd hear them, see them. I say this all the time. We'd hear them. They'd be knocking on things and knocking things over. They'd just be walking around if they had no limitations. So clearly there's some, it's not easy for them in their energy world to translate to our energy world. There is that. So it's just funny. I just want to kind of point out to you guys that, hey, keep in mind, there's not always set rules. Okay, we probably won't know all those rules, obviously, until we someday go to the afterlife. Now we can turn to scriptures and things like that. Again, I've intensified my studies over the last couple of years, and it's led me to various scriptures. And I gotta say, there's definitely a lot of great stuff to learn when you read the Bible. And again, I'm not trying to preach, so y'all don't just go run off and, oh no, he's starting to preach about the Bible. No, but seriously, for those of you who are serious about investigating paranormal, you need to read the Book of Enoch, and you need to read the Holy Bible and start from Genesis. And in fact, you can look up a chronological order for the Bible. Okay, so it'll take you all the way from Genesis to Revelations. Okay, and And if you don't, if you can't read it, there's audio versions that are free on YouTube that literally will also tell you, speak to you. So if you just want to listen to, like if you guys like audiobooks, you can just listen to it in your spare time, and it'll word for word go through all of the stuff. And I think I even have a playlist on. I think you guys can see it on the Everything Paranormal show on the YouTube. I should have a playlist for the entire Bible that you can click on, and it'll read through everything for you, audibly, for free. And it's a good thing. It's a King James version, so which is still the major standard. Another thing I recommend if you're going to study those things is there is an app called One Bible, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but One Bible is really cool because it has different translations. As you guys, some of you may or may not realize, but the original, Bible was in Hebrew, and eventually one of the translations was the King James version because the king wanted something that he could understand in King's English. Well, since then, we've had scholars that have translated the Bible directly from Hebrew into a better version for English. So they have other translations. So what's cool about One Bible is you can look up a verse. So let's say you wanted to look up, John 3:16, right? The classic. You could look that up in King James version, which is my default. And then you can also select like the English Standard Version, or you can select the New International Version, the New American Standard Version. There's all kinds of them, but you can select the different ones, and it'll show you what was translated. What they translated it into, and it's really cool because, for example, and I don't know if I've told this story last time. But what's really cool is like it helps when you're learning the Bible, because there was like a passage one time, and I want to say it might even have been in Psalms or something, but in the King James version it was like seas and floods, like floods with like plural. So like the conspiracy person in me was like, oh my God, there's like more than one flood. It says right here, I just caught it. Like maybe I'm the only one that caught this. Oh my God, it said floods. Okay, and I'm thinking like all these things started going through my head already, and it was not a big deal, right? It was just like, what? And then I looked at some of the other translations, and it was like actually the Hebrew word translates to rivers. So the scripture was like seas and rivers, and I'm like, well, that makes more sense. So I was like, okay. So then when you read it, when you read the passage, it sometimes makes sense. So that's what's important about the different translations, and sometimes people don't always understand that. It's not that it's a different Bible; it's the same Bible. It's just that there's some, it just helps with to fix some of the word issues from the King's English to the English that we use, and it translates it better for you. So, like for example, seas and floods, seas and rivers. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, especially in the context of the passage. So anyways, I'm not trying to sell you guys on the Bible. I'm not trying to preach to you guys. I just wanted to let you guys know that, look, 25 plus years of trying to find out what the paranormal world's about, believe it or not, has brought me closer to God. And you'll be surprised at what is starting to line up with the scriptures. Okay? So if you really want to be a true paranormal investigator, don't shut out God. I know it's cool to be like into skulls and death and demons and all that stuff, especially, the younger you are, it seems like it's the cooler thing to do. But if you truly, truly want to learn and study, don't shut out everything. Try to be open-minded and look at the different things, because I never, a couple of years ago, I didn't set out to prove the Bible or anything like that. I was all about paranormal. But through my research is what started leading me there. So that's why I said just read it, and you don't have to go to church if you don't want to, or whatever. But just read it. Read the Bible for yourself, and then you'll learn a lot more than you think. And then you can start going, hey, wait a minute, this kind of makes sense with paranormal investigating. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Anyways, all right. So back to what we're talking about. Back to the last bit of the show. I haven't really been seeing any questions other than just my wife's comments in there are happy faces, a lot of happy faces and salt circles. So we'll start to wrap up, I guess, unless we get any other questions or comments on anything. But I think the ultimate thing I just want you guys to take away from this episode, if you're amateur, hey, just watch what you're doing, do research. Don't just run and go. And I know it seems to be cool to just go out and try to throw together a seance and all this other stuff, but be very careful with what you do. Again, you don't want to create like portals. Okay? All right. Now, as far as what I got coming up next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do a live show next week. I hope. I'm trying to do it regularly every week for you guys. I'm not sure. One of my nighttime job, I may have to do some extra work next week, so I'm not sure if they're going to need me on Thursday night. Maybe I can record some type of episode on if I get a day off. Maybe I can record one for you guys. But that's possibly what I have going on. But either way, I'm still going to continue to try to do these at least every Thursday nights. I'm trying to get my wife on here with me. She agreed to come into the chat tonight, so I partially got her here. I'm going to try to at least get her audio on here one day. She's got some really interesting things that she's experienced, but even just if, for her to talk about ghosts or spirits and things like that, it'd be really cool to hear her take on things. Again, we share different theories sometimes, and I'm trying to get her to learn what I've learned, maybe she'll watch my videos one day and learn some of the cool theories that I've learned. But, again, she's her own person and she's awesome. She's taught me some things about the paranormal that I didn't know about. So it's really cool. And I think it's and that's the other thing is, like, if you have a significant other that is also into paranormal, that helps a lot, because if you don't have that kind of support, it makes it really difficult, but luckily my wife is my amazing soulmate, so she does she enjoys paranormal as well. She likes to do a lot of the scary stuff, though. She likes to do a lot of the scary, like the scary movies and things. She likes me to watch, and she especially likes when I do like scary games and like I jump. I may have to do that on this channel. I may do some scary games. Might do some of that a few nights, because I know she enjoys watching it, and maybe you guys might. If you guys want to, comment down below. If you guys want to see me play some scary games on the PC, I've got a collection of some scary games on Steam that my wife bought me. I never made it through all of them, but if you guys want to see me play some of them, hey, maybe I'll do that on one of the episodes, or at least in between episodes. Maybe I can do some scary games for you or something. I probably will. I may not do them live. I might do them and then edit them for you. But if you guys want to see it, comment down below. If we can get this video to, like, I don't know, I don't get a lot of likes because I still don't have a lot of. Let's see, if we can get this video, if people watch this video and they want to see me do scary games on here every once in a while, if we could get this video to, like, what, 20 likes? I mean, that's not much, right? like 20 likes and then maybe some comments, maybe I'll do a scary game for you guys next time. Hi, Sandra. She popped in here toward the end of the show, but hey, we don't have to end it just yet. Sandra, if you have any questions for me, tonight we talked about portals, do's and don'ts. Basically, mostly don't do portals. But if you have any questions or comments, now's the time to get them in as we get ready to wrap up the show. But yeah, the last thing I was just saying is if you have somebody that likes or enjoys doing, being in the paranormal field with you, then that's huge. That's awesome. Because again, and especially when you're able to bounce theories off each other. There's sometimes when I remember during some of our investigations before, give me the answer of the title of this video. Well, the title of this video was what? Opening a portal? Is that the title? Was that what I had? I can't remember if that was sometimes it whenever I go to stream live, sometimes it'll show up with my old title, but I thought I edited it, so I'm hoping that you're talking about is that the answer you want? It says, give me the answer of the title of this video. Well, if the title of this video is opening a portal, then the answer is, can ghosts make you sick or kill you? God dang it. See, I did edit that. But now, trust me, once this video finalizes, it'll be called portals or whatever. Well, anyways, this show was about portals, but Sandra, can ghosts make you sick or kill you? We'll cover that really quick because that was last show. You can watch the last show as well if you want to get some in-depth answers on this. But ultimately, can ghosts make you sick or kill you? And the answer, yes, they could, in theory. How? I'm going to try to shorten this up for you because, again, you may want to go back and watch my other video on this to get a little more in-depth. But ghosts, I believe that ghosts are made up of a spiritual energy that is undetected and will not be detected by mankind. We're not going to have a meter that detects the actual spirit energy of a ghost or spirit. That's part of God's law. But ghosts use that spirit energy that they're made of. They can manipulate our energies. Okay? That's why we get EMF readings. That's why we also can get ion readings and things like that. Ghosts can manipulate the energies in our environment. That's how they move objects, all those things. Communicate on devices. Well, as far as making you sick, there's a couple ways that they can do this. One is they can actually attack your spirit body. We are all made up of physical flesh, spirit body, and soul, right? Our spirit body and soul are connected so together that only God can separate that. All right, but they're together. They are separate, but they're meshed together. But anyways, ghosts can attack our spirit body. Our spirit body is like our antenna. It's kind of what connects us to all things spiritual, okay, to the spirit realms, everything, okay? So, but the ghost can directly attack your spirit body, even though that can be a little more guarded sometimes. So chances are, a lot of times what can happen is there's an environmental effect that can happen also. When ghosts disturb energy, and I kind of go into more of the science of it in the last episode, but it's based on disturbing of atoms. So if you remember back to science class, when atoms get disturbed, atoms, they have the electrons that go around them and all that stuff, all that boring stuff from science. Well, they try to maintain that octet, and if they have a positive or negative gain, they're either positive ions or negative ions, right? So, long story short, positive ions are not good for you. Negative ions are good for you. Well, the positive ions, they can make you sick. They can cause headaches, joint pains, all kinds of stuff. So when ghosts actually disturb the energies in, like, when we pick up EMF readings and things like that, when they're disturbing those energies during these hauntings, these intense hauntings, they also can create these positive ions. And if you can imagine like a concentrated area of positive ions around, say, your head, you could experience sickness. Okay. So that's kind of hopefully a condensed or was it last week's episode maybe, or the week before? That's like condensed into like a little bit of explanation on the sick part. As far as physical harm or kill you, again, this is fairly self-explanatory. If you've ever watched any of the TV shows, for example, or if maybe you didn't go out on investigations yourself, but physically they can scratch you, bite, burn. There has been reports of all those things, and actually even ghosts that have moved objects, like drills or knock over ladders, or basically have objects to where they almost fall and hit you. Okay, so that's their way of physically harming you. As far as killing you, now this is probably something we really can't prove, but because again, people that may have been killed by ghosts obviously are ghosts themselves now, or they, like I said, they didn't live to tell about it. But people that's almost been killed sometimes have reported things like ghosts coming out of nowhere and they swerve their car thinking it was a person, and things like that. Who knows? There's all kinds of ways that ghosts possibly could have manipulated the brakes on vehicles, or who knows. But I think that as long as they can physically move objects and things like that, there is that potential that they could kill somebody. So I do believe that they probably have killed people or been the cause of deaths, and we just didn't even really know it. There has been some pretty mysterious deaths that's been associated with potentially paranormal. So hopefully, Sandra, I hope that answered your question in a quick amount of time. So since we're kind of combining some shows now, that's pretty cool. But yeah, and then tonight, in case you missed it, a brief little summary. We talked about portals, about opening portals. Basically, portals are where our spirits are able to travel, or angels are able to travel from heaven to earth, or portals that exist between spirit realms, portals that exist between spirit realm or earth and of hell as well. So different, it's kind of almost a highway system of the road maps that can be used among heaven, spirit realms, and hell, the different realms. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you believe that also. And I think that can be fairly standard. Again, I think with a lot of people. Now, again, sometimes people don't always agree with my energy theories, but let's face it, majority of the paranormal field out there know that the paranormal world is energy based. So if you just kind of take that a step further, there is some paranormal investigators that will use ion meters. They're not as common, and I've never personally used one, but ions are sort of an after effect, so I really wouldn't put too much into it. Some investigators say it's more accurate to detect activity, but again, I wouldn't put too much into that. That's more of an effect of after energy has been disturbed. So just a little FYI, little FYI, can't talk. Little FYI for you. Little FYI. So yeah, but we talked about portals as well. Don't do it. We also covered amateur investigating. Okay, seek help. Don't just go out and wing it. All right. But other than that, if you guys can't think of anything else, we'll probably start wrapping things up. Again, remember, next week I may not be able to do the episode live next week because I may have to work that rare time. We're shorthanded next week, so I may have to fill in Thursday night at my overnight job. Other than that, you guys have been a great crowd. I want to say thank you to my wife. Thank you for Sandra for commenting in the chat, and whoever else watches. All right, just because you didn't participate in the chat, hey, I still love you. So hit that like button. Please share this show with people out there. We're just trying to elevate. I really like to help people and to help give them answers. And I really want to, my goal ultimately would be to where you guys could just chat. I mean, I'd love to have some episodes where we could seriously just do nothing but chat, like live Q&A, and have plenty of questions and people participating and really dive into some just on the spot theories. That would be awesome. So if we can make that happen, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, thank you all so much. Have a good night.